Good morning, everyone, and welcome. On behalf of North Central Massachusetts Chamber of Commerce, I am pleased to welcome you to the Good Morning North Central Breakfast. I'm Jim Vanderhoeven. I'm the president of Mount Wachusett Community College, and I'm also serving as the chair of the board of the North Central Chamber this year. And I would very much like to welcome you all this morning. I hope you are enjoying your breakfast. Please continue eating. There's also more in juice. The juice line has gotten a little smaller this morning. Many of you may know, this is actually a very exciting way to start our chamber breakfast this morning. Many of you may know that the North Central Chamber of Commerce won the Chamber of the Year. I asked if it was because it happened like 2 weeks after I became the chair of the North Central. No, just kidding. The work that our chamber leadership puts in to help coalesce and bring together North Central Massachusetts business and industry is superior. We've known that for many, many years. And I use that all the time in my work at the Mount. We have used the research, the studies, the outreach, the connections, the meetings, the opportunities, these breakfasts at the college to specifically help us design our strategic plan for moving forward. So we are making sure that the academic programs that we're pursuing are in line with the needs of business and industry in North Central Massachusetts. And we wouldn't be able to do that as effectively as we do without the work that the Chamber has done to gather that information and to bring so many people to the table. So I know in my heart that the North Central Chamber of Commerce has earned this distinction, and I believe that all of us know, and it is a great honor and pleasure to welcome to the podium Kat with that award. Look at that. Roy, thank you so much for your leadership, and to your team, congratulations on receiving this distinction. We very much appreciate your guidance and your leadership through the last few years, and wish you continued success. We're going to be welcoming our three mayors up in just a little bit, but I would also like to welcome in attendance today's State Senator John Cronin. Thank you for being here this morning. And I'd also like to let you know that September is going to be and will continue to be a very busy month here at the Chamber. There is an event for everyone. We're looking forward to seeing many of you at these events. On September 12th, the Chamber is opening their door for a celebration on their historic Chamber of the Year win. The event takes place from 3 to 5 p.m., and many members have donated to the event. There will be drinks and food, and we hope that you all can join us. On September 21st is the legislative and candidates reception at the Chocksett Inn. This event is a wonderful opportunity to meet and speak with your elected officials and delegation and candidates. And I would personally very much like to thank Mount Wachusett Community College for sponsoring this event. You're welcome. I've made it known, and I made it known about 6.5 years ago when I got here, that if any of you would also like to sponsor that event, too bad, we've got it forever. It is a great event. It's a perfect opportunity to be able to meet the candidates, meet the elected officials, and be able to talk about the future of North Central Massachusetts. And I hope that you all can attend. It is usually a standing room only event, and it's loud, and it's great, and it's awesome. So please be there. And again, one more time, thank you to Mount Wachusett Community College for the sponsorship of that great event. Okay, there we go. Did I just commit an ethics violation? No? Okay, thanks. Senator Cronin, all right. There's no microphone, there's no video or anything. That's great. All right, on September 28th, we'll have a presentation on business exit planning to secure your retirement that will start at 8 a.m. and will be held at the Chamber. And on October 4th, the Chamber is holding the annual Work North Central Career and Hiring event at Mount Wachusett Community College. This event offers programs to attendees, free headshots for job seekers, and much more. See Cat Deal to reserve your spot today. Of course, we have many more events, some not at the Mount, and all of them can be viewed online at northcentralmass.com. And I would like to take this time to thank Bank Hometown for sponsoring this morning's breakfast. Please welcome. Please welcome Robert Morton, President and CEO of Bank Hometown, to the stage.
That's a hard act to follow. So Rory, once again, congratulations. You and your team, that's amazing is beyond words. I know it was a lot of hard work, a lot of dedication, and it paid off, so congratulations. So for some of you who may not know about Bank Hometown and the Hometown Financial Group, I just wanted to give you a little bit of a background. So Bank Hometown is actually one of 3 banks in a mutual holding company, where to the west of us in the western part of the state, we have Bank ESB, which is a $1.8 billion bank with 10 locations. Bank Hometown has in Central Mass and Northeast Connecticut at 1.4 billion with 16 locations. Up in this area, we're in Athol, Leominster, and Lancaster. And then to our east, we have Bank Abington Bank, which is a $1.4 billion bank with 10 locations. And then we have a mortgage company called Hometown Mortgage. And what we have is what we call is a shared service business model. And what we try to do is take advantage of that combined $4.5 billion organization. And what we do is we take a back office function and we locate it at one of the banks. So for instance, deposit operations is located at Bank Hometown. That is deposit operations for all 3 banks. Loan servicing is at Abington Bank in Holbrook. We have our call center, IT, and some other departments out at Bank ESB. And what that does, it allows us to enjoy the economies of scale of a larger organization. And the way I like to describe it, it's the best of both worlds. It gives us some size, it gives us the capacity, the ability to afford technology, to pretty much do what any big bank does. But having a collaboration of 3 community banks, we still have the responsiveness, the approachability, the heart and soul of a community bank. And so, you know, it's important because of the consolidation in the market, which I'll get into in a second. But I'd like to just talk a little bit about 6 months ago, right? What happened? 3 of the 4 largest bank failures occurred a little over 6 months ago. In part due to the rising rate environment. Their balance sheets really couldn't absorb that. And that is a problem in our industry. There are some banks that are being pressured because of this rising rate environment. So what about Bank Hometown and Hometown Financial Group? Well, I'm going to talk about Bank Home specifically because I have those numbers up at the top of my head, and but it's very similar. A lot of this stemmed from the pandemic, right? When the stimulus money came in, all banks saw a surge in deposits. We, at one point, were sitting on over $400 million in cash at the Fed. Now, the problem at the time, rates were pretty much 0, so we were earning next to nothing, right? So a lot of banks felt they needed to put that money to work. And unfortunately, they went out and they bought what they thought were very secure instruments in treasuries, but they went out 5, 7 years, not anticipating the significant rise in interest rate. We, at the time, collectively said, we don't know where this is going. So we decided to sit on a lot of that cash. And when we did invest, we invested in floating rate, government agency, collateral mortgage obligations, and mortgage-backed securities So at the time of 18 months ago, when the Fed began raising rates in March of 2022, our earning assets were somewhere a quarter to a third of our balance sheet. So when all of a sudden interest rates started rising rapidly, the interest on our earning assets rose rapidly. So much so, we're having the best year we've ever had. So let me put those in metrics, right? There's approximately 100 banks, state chartered banks in Massachusetts. The return on assets, which is a profitability measurement for 2022, was 64 basis points. In the first 6 months of 2023, that went up a little bit to 67 basis points. If you're a bank and you can hit 100 basis points, you get pretty excited, as much as a banker can get excited. First 6 months of 2023, we generated 140 basis points return on assets, or over twice the state average. Now, wasn't looking for that. And it wasn't like we predicted this, but we're being rewarded for being disciplined with our balance sheet management. And why is that important? Well, I just mentioned there were 100 banks in Massachusetts, state chartered banks. There are other banks or credit unions. In 2011, just 12 years ago, there were 160 banks. So within 12 years, we've lost 60 banks. Now, what's driving that? It's a changing demographic. I won't get into that. It's depressing. The other thing is the accelerated changing technology, the competition for talent, and then the increasing costs in regulatory compliance. So where's this trend going? Well, I think in the next 10 to 15 years, we'll be down to probably 50 banks. So it's important to have scale. It's important to be a top performer. And so how do our three banks compare to the other banks? I just told you about ROA. The Kentucky Banking Association puts out a quarterly report, and it ranks all the banks, and specifically Massachusetts, I get the report, and it ranks it on return on assets, return on equity, efficiency, non-performing, delinquency, and whatnot. And it's 1 through 100, and 1 being the best. And then they take a composite. Well, I'm happy to tell you that the #1 bank, not Bank Hometown, but Bank ESB to our west, we're number 7 out of 100, not too shabby. Abington, yeah, they're 30, right? So why is that important? Well, if there's only going to be 50 banks in 10, 15 years, guess where you want to be? Top 50. So for those of you who are customers, we really appreciate your patronage, and I just want you to know and rest assured that we're doing very well, and we're going to be around for 10, 20 plus years and hopefully beyond. So with that, I believe I'm supposed to turn it back over to Jim. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Robert, and thank you, Bank Hometown, for your premier sponsorship. And thank you to You Name It Creatives, LLC, who is the supporting sponsor of today's breakfast. Thank you very much. I would like to invite our guest MC, Lauren Howe, owner and principal at Empowered PR, to the front to begin this morning's dialogue. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. It's great to be back. So today, we have the honor to have our 3 mayors of our region, the mayor of Fitchburg, Stephen DiNatale, the mayor of Gardner, Mike Nicholson, and the mayor of Leominster, Dean Mazzarella. To be fair, the mayors are going to speak in order of their city, so Fitchburg, Gardner, and Leominster. They will each give a brief update, and then we will have a Q&A with all 3 members. And due to time, there will be no audience questions today. So let's get started. Our first mayor, in order of the city's name, we have the Honorable Mayor of Fitchburg, Stephen DiNatale.
Morning, everyone. I want to thank Nikki Morse. Nikki, you still in the room? No? Thank you for the air conditioning today. And what we're hoping to do today is to provide you with an update. Am I doing this? I thought you were doing this. Yeah, you do this. I don't want to do this. No. Technology is not my thing, believe me. I would have screwed that up. Next. You're going to really hate the day you took that thing. Fitchburg has become, and again, I want to preface this by saying, what we've accomplished in the city of Fitchburg, and it's been significant, and we're very, very proud of our achievements, that would not be possible without the assistance of, you're seeing to the table to my left, those are all city employees, purchasing, the auditor, my office, community development, the clerk. They're all here, and they're all partners in what we've accomplished and what we continue to strive for. Fitchburg, thank you. Fitchburg has become a top tourism destination in North Central Mass. That's pretty significant right there. We were informed of that recently by Roy Nascimento, who gave us a little bit of a heads up that we are that city that people are coming to, or area that they're coming to, partly because of Great Wolf and Game On. We've also got Fitchburg State University, obviously, performance, lectures, and cultural program. Couldn't leave out one of the key components, one of the key facilities and operations is the Fitchburg Art Museum. 2 microbreweries, we've got 2 of them. I'm not sure I hope you don't hang around there too much, but Hollis Hill Farm, obviously, we were just out there yesterday with the governor and the resiliency program that they've initiated for some of the storm damage that happened several months ago. You see some of the pictures, Great Wolf Lodge, Bay State Games at Game On, the Art and Bloom, always a big and popular, and then the popular Sweet 16 at FSU. And then Thirsty Robot, River Styx Brewing, again, those two microbreweries, and then you've got Hollis Hill, which just what a great facility Jimmy Latanzi's put together up there. He's not just, as I said yesterday with the governor here, he's not just a terrific farmer, he's a great businessman. And he's, he's got the handle on agritourism, certainly in the city of Fitchburg, and you can see by some of those pictures. Fitchburg's goal to become a regionally significant dining destination, it's now taking shape. Multiple new restaurants have opened in 2023. Brazilian Flavor, Oliver's Cafe, Rise and Grind, very popular, certainly with City Hall and with, certainly my office. Right, Joan? Yeah. Dario's on Main Street, Singapore, Kiki's Ramen, Popper's Pantry, another successful operation. What are you giving me? 3 fingers? What does that mean? 3 minutes. No, it'll be more than that. All right. And then we got the pictures of those facilities and the ribbon cuttings that we've enjoyed. Popper's Pantry, Mama Juana. We just had the ribbon cutting last week for that operation. We wish them certainly good things. With even more dining on the way by the year end, Uprise Baking Company, Fitchburg Public Market, Tacos Don Juan, and Identity Coffee Lab. Those are some of the pictures of what is to come. Ongoing business, small business support. This is something that we've done through the federal monies that were given during COVID. So we've helped some of these businesses out. You can see Community Development Block Grant Funding, CDBG, $300,000 in business loans and grants awarded, small business loans, signed facade grants, The ADA accessibility grants, very important. Home-based daycare, micro enterprise grants. We had 2 rounds of recipients for that. And we want to thank Community Development for their efforts in putting that together. Liz Murphy, thank you. Small business technical assistance, also very important. Several dozen clients supported annually. Benefits of both new and existing Fitchburg businesses and New View communities. Where's the Bulldog? Bulldog, where are you? There you are. Mark Doan, thank you, Mark. Recently, some of our completed developments, 150,000 square foot modern state-of-the-art facility, the e-commerce warehouse, Intervale Road. It's everyone refers to as the Amazon building. Redevelopment of the former Simon Saw and Steel. Apartments at Moran Square. That's probably the chief accomplishment that we certainly can point to. Mixed-use redevelopment of 2 historic buildings connected by new construction. I know people have gone by. You see the developments in that building. 3 commercial storefronts as well, apartments at Moran Square, created 44 residential apartments, 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units, transit-oriented development. It's right next to the train station, very important. And located also at the terminus of the Twin City Rail Trail. Very exciting development as well. And then we've got Intervale Road. You see the construction going on. It's now completed. Hopefully in 2024, they'll be occupying that building and carrying on business at that point. And then you've got the apartments at Moran Square. That's what they look like now. It's a pretty impressive building. I think they were filled up a week later after they opened. So we couldn't be happier about that. Now there were events that are going to be happening in the Moran Square area to reconfigure that entire space. Some of the other developments, 759 to 769 Main Street, redevelopment of the former Hub International Insurance Building. That's across the street from City Hall. 4 modern residential apartments, they're fully leased, and 2 commercial storefronts that are fully leased as well on the ground level. 655 Main Street, redevelopment of the former Fitchburg Gas and Light. That is where there are 3 modern residential apartments fully leased. One of our city employees occupies one of those apartments. The new restaurant at Dario's downstairs. So it's a commercial storefront ground level. We couldn't be happier with the success that that's showing as well. 805 Main Street, redevelopment of the former Research Results. This is also 8 modern residential apartments, fully leased on 2 upper floors, and a new restaurant. That's where Rise and Grind is. If you haven't checked out Rise and Grind, go in there and partake of what they offer. These are some of the pictures of the buildings that we're just talking about. The major new projects underway, Fitchburg Arts Community. I was just out there yesterday, the old B.F. Brown School. Redevelopment of the former school site creates 68 live-work residential units for creative and artisan micro enterprises. Ties in nicely with the art museum. Adaptive reuse of 3 historic buildings. We've got the annex up on the hill, and then we have what was once the city stables. It's where we kept horses. And directly abuts the Fitchburg Art Museum, as I said. And that's the coordination and the collective tying in that we're going to experience with that. Major projects underway, the Fitchburg Public Library. That's a $40 million renovation project and expansion. It's funded through money from the Commonwealth, the ARPA funding as well, municipal and foundation sources. Preservation of mid-century modern primary facade. And that's what we're going to be looking at. And the youth library component is going to be upgraded as well. And these are going to be incorporating 21st century features, the Learning Lab, Makerspace, Teen Room, and community room. Very, very excited about that. Did I go beyond my 3 minutes? Oh my God, no. Oh, well. What do we do now? Oh, future infrastructure improvements. Yeah. Water and Main, thank you. Fitchburg to receive $11.5 million from the American Rescue Plan Funding Award. And that's Main Street and Boulder Drive. Most of that has gone in for infrastructure repairs and development of residential reuse of vacant upper stories. That's what we're hoping for. That's it.
That's your last slide.
Thank you. Am I sitting down?
Yes.
Got it.
Next is Mayor Mike Nicholson of Gardner. Mike Nicholson is a lifelong resident of Gardner, Massachusetts, the son of James and Martha Nicholson. He is a proud graduate of Gardner High School and a proud alumnus and former drum major of the Gardner High Band program. While in high school, Mayor Nicholson began interning for then Mayor Mark Hawk, which kindled his interest in local government. Mayor Nicholson completed his undergraduate career at UMass, earning 2 Bachelor of Arts degrees cum laude in 2016. After completing his undergraduate career in 3 years, he participated in the 1-year accelerated Masters of Public Policy degree from the UMass School of Public Policy, earning his degree in 2017. He then went on to earn his Juris Doctor degree in May of 2021 after completing his coursework of study as part of the Suffolk University Law School's Evening Division. Please help me welcome Mayor Mike Nicholson.
Good morning, and welcome to Gardner. Whether you're just visiting for today, this is your first time here, you're going to one of the many events soon to happen at Mount Wachusett Community College, or you're just looking to see some of the new stuff going on, you're always welcome to pull up a chair here in the Chair City. Gardner's been busy lately, and it's something that's been really exciting. And I think one of the most exciting things for a breakfast like this is that that's not just Gardner specific, but it's us in North Central specific. In the past, in 2022, we opened 33 new or expanded businesses here in Gardner, and we just announced yesterday the 16th in 2023, with at least 3 more on the way before the end of the year. A lot of that is thanks to the work of the great team that I get to work with at City Hall. I want to give a special shout out to my Community Development Director, Trevor Beauregard, in the back, our Economic Development Coordinator, Jessica Roy, who's with him. And then from the GRA, Magnus Carlberg, from the Gardner Cultural Council, Kat Deal, technology extraordinaire for the morning, and from the Gardner Retirement Board, Cheryl Bossy. But with the business growth that we're seeing, we're also seeing the population growth with it. In the last 10 years, we saw a 10% bump in the census in Gardner. And we're seeing housing bump here happening too. In the downtown area alone, with the 22 buildings that have been purchased in the last 18 months, we're looking at about 225 new housing apartment units being constructed in the downtown alone for market rate housing. Then you add on the work that we're doing in Main Street that should be breaking ground late this year, early next year, adding in a new 160-spot parking lot, event plaza. We're working on a water feature. Trevor's really been taking the lead on that one and just running with it. That's just in that section by the library in the downtown. You look at what we just did over at the former National Grid substations location, in an area that was, for as long as I was alive, surrounded with barbed wire at the entrance of the downtown. Now we have one of the best views in the city with a waterfront park, extension of the bike trail, soon to be a little expanded on with the demolition of the Greenwood Pool building that I'm surprised it hasn't fallen in on itself yet when you drive by and look at the roof. But that to have a brand new pavilion over there playing on the theme of the old pool, utilizing some of the aspects of the old building, the signs, some of the cupolas, things like that in its construction to really keep that going and build off of the historical foundation that's there, but still moving on in a way that the city needs to move in that direction. The downtown seen a lot of work in our infrastructure that's over there, with all the roads redone, the water utility lines done over, sidewalks, lighting fixtures. It's been busy, but it's a good busy. And I think that seeing that in Gardner, seeing that in Fitchburg, seeing that in Leominster, seeing that in the region as a whole is something that shows that we don't live in silos and that we're this one big puzzle piece here in the north central part of the state that really builds off of each other. I have been given the okay from, and by the okay I mean the leases, the ink on the leases have been dried, to announce that we do have a couple more businesses that we've talked about lately. With Bittersweet Cafe has just signed their lease at the Garbos building, right on the corner, across the street from Priscilla Candy. That's a bakery coffee shop in the morning that's soon to be converted to a pie and wine bar at night. So we'll see how that plays on there. And then the Vault is set to actually begin construction quite soon over at the old Shawmut Bank building at 25 Main Street, a 25 tap room and steakhouse with a members lounge in the basement level. So pie and wine, Steve.
Just an excuse to drink water. Let's go have some pie. Bring it down on wine.
I've been waiting to talk about those, but now that they got their building permits, it's a different story. But aside from that, you know, there's businesses that have taken examples from other national chains that have copied them over here. You look at Hunter Farm. The old ice cream stand on Chapel Street is now open as a vacation rental unit. Stacy Kazinskis looked at how Airbnbs are renting, so now she's her own private Airbnb over at Hunter Farm as phase one, with phase two looking at doing a country store at the location. They don't think they can live up to the old ice cream standard that they used to have over there, but they're looking at building off of her grandparents' legacy. Woods Ambulance saw that there was a need here because everyone said Gardner doesn't have a taxi, what are we doing? So now they've made Swift Ride, which is their own local Uber service. So again, copying off of a larger scheme there too. You call up Woods Ambulance on their non-emergency line, that's a dedicated phone number. You get a dispatcher who sends their 12-passenger van out to you to bring you wherever you need. It's a $10 flat fee wherever you're going in the city per ride. So if you fill up that 12-person van with 12 people, it's still $10 per ride. So you split that $10 up amongst the 12 people, you've got a pretty good deal there to get around anywhere you want in the city of Gardner. Yeah, right, exactly, to get home from the pie and wine. That one too, I gotta say, that was the best one that Jen Wood and I were sitting together in her office and we were trying to come up, we had talked about this for a while and she was like, you know, we're finally gonna launch it, we're gonna do this. We started to leak it here and there on Facebook and just random comments to see if people noticed about it, and then a half an hour later we'd go back and delete the comments to see if people remembered it just to get it going. And we were like, but what do we call it? Because if we call it Woods, people are gonna think it's an ambulance. If we call it Woods Plus, they're probably gonna think it's a better ambulance. What are we gonna do? And Getaway Car by Taylor Swift started playing on the radio speaker over in her office, and we were like, oh, Swift Ride. And that's how you're gonna get from one place to another in the city of Gardner. So if you're looking to get involved in that one, that's a great way to do it. It is just Gardner specific though for now. They are looking at eventually expanding into Gardner and communities that immediately border Gardner. But for now, it's just something that we haven't had since we lost our taxi cab service back when I was in middle school. It's neat to see how Gardner's growing. It's neat to see how we're meeting the needs of what's coming up. And I think we're planning for a stronger future, not only dealing with what we're seeing now, but planning for that 5-year out once we get those 225 apartments filled, once we get those business and storefronts open. How do we keep them here? How do we keep that sustainability plan? And I'm really excited and proud of the work we've done. But I don't want to go over by that much on my 3 minutes, and Kat's already checking her watch. So thank you very much, and looking forward to the questions later on.
Wow. I have my cup. I think I should practice my sipping. My cup. Finally, we have Mayor Dean Mazzarella of Leominster. Mayor Dean Mazzarella is a 1975 graduate of Leominster High. You're a Blue Devil.
My mother wrote this 30 years ago.
Please welcome Mayor Mazzarella.
Wine. How did, I bet it was like falling asleep and like, hey, wine. wine and pie. Wine is just, you know, they put wine and then something else after it. So there's an excuse, I gotta go because they're serving apple pie, you know. I realized this morning that I'm part of this group, that I'm always late. Not always late, but not late, but just late. So I realized today that us people who are late all the time, we drive up to the front of the building as if somebody would save spots for us. Every time, it happens everywhere. I'm watching, church, everywhere. The people that are always late, for some reason, they drive up right up front, like, yeah, they saved the spot for me. Here he comes, you know, again, yep, spot right there, we saved it for you. Isn't that true? Am I right? No, you're never late, so you don't know. And we always end up, so today, I want to just tell you, I parked all the way to the other end, right? So good morning. And look at those pictures. Wow, we look important. But we had a new employee at City Hall, and for the first couple of weeks, I don't know if you heard the story, Amanda, but she thought I was the director of facilities. So it's okay. So what happened is there was a toilet plugged in the one of the restrooms, and apparently she saw me with the plunger. It's true. So she thought I was like part of the facilities. So the second question she asked me is, where's the break room? And I said, this is in Fitchburg. We don't have any breaks here. Yeah. That's true. I said, what are you talking about? We don't take breaks here in Leominster.
We have a very nice break room.
You have the best break room. With wine, apparently.
Yeah, that's right, they have a pie and wine.
So I'm like, no, I'm the mayor. And she says, oh, I'm sorry. She says, but where's the break room? And I said, we don't have a break room. I have to tell you. I said, just, you know, let the crumbs hit the table and sweep them off later. I don't know what else to tell you. Anyway, good morning. And it's been interesting, hasn't it? Oh, Tara and I are still together. We drove from Leominster to Virginia, back to Pennsylvania in like 2.5 days. And the air conditioner died as soon as we left Leominster. And so she was trying to get to the 103 degrees. It was brutal. I caught her trying to Uber a spot to get to Amtrak so she could go back to Minnesota. Because it was like, I got to get out of here. We made it. If you want to test the relationships, try that one. With me, oh, it's almost impossible. Anyway, good morning. And yeah, things have been good. I mean, obviously, you hear how much money, you know, is in these banks, and I don't know how much is still left that people have from, you know, COVID money, but certainly anybody in the banking industry knows there was a lot of money out there. And the big thing for all of us is going to be sustainability. We have a lot of new people that have opened businesses. And how do we keep those? You know, once the money starts to dry up, you know, we're all back at Wendy's for the 4 for $4. Before that, we're having wine and pie. But, you know, the reality is sustainability is how do we keep this wine and pie? How do we keep this, you know, this energy going? And how do we keep, you know, how do we keep people spending money locally and not leaving our areas? You know, as the Mayor Gardner said, you know, it's a big region now, and people are more and more. I mean, look at Route 2, people heading east this morning. It tells you something, right? People are living west and working east, and we see it, you know, every day of the week. And you know, we tour different businesses in the city. You know, we see we ask, well, where do you come? You know, where do you come from? And a lot of them, some people come from Connecticut. They come from all over, but mostly it's the you know, or the West, which means we've got to build this transportation system here from Greenfield out. You know, so we can get employees out to this region who might not have an automobile or plan on using public transportation. I can go on. Downtown's full. We got a barbecue guy coming soon, so that'll take care of that. I don't know if they'll have wine and pie, but he'll have a barbecue. That'll take care of that, and that makes downtown full. Where's Melissa and Amanda? They do a great job with us. They're our economic development team. They share the small and large business. So that's always a thing. And so we like to have fun. Most important thing is to have fun. And tonight is the Food Truck Festival, and now I guess it's supposed to thunderstorm and all that. Yeah, you didn't see the weather? No. Anyway, but we always have fun. We had an Italian festival. We have the Watch Your Paint Dry festival. We have anything that we can do to have a festival, because people like to have fun, right? Wine and pie. And we have an apple orchard. Let me just throw that in here for the pie part of it. Housing is certainly going to be an issue. It is for us now. And one of the things that happened is When I first ran for office, I banged on everybody's door, and one of the things they said is, too much growth, too much growth. So we backed off, bought a bunch of land. We now own thousands of acres, 32 miles of trails. You can leave Sterling, go to Princeton, and never leave city land. That's a good thing, because it's there forever. You know, it's sustainable, it's there, and people like it. But we took away a lot of the spots that would be typically used for housing. So we have to do infill. And we are at the point now, thanks to Newview and Mark. Mark is a genius when it comes to this stuff. Mark Doan, just a genius, and he puts all these pieces together, but every single one of our old mills, every single one of them have been redeveloped. And it's an amazing thing. It's not an easy process. There's so many different pieces of it. But, you know, building a community, I've had a lot of time to do this. You know, it's been 30 years, so I can't blame it on anybody else. And we've made all the mistakes, so we can't keep making mistakes. I mean, it's just the way it is. Obviously, that's a big thing. But I know the two things that are pressing on everybody's mind, besides the hospital and the maternity ward, which I guess is a question later, is what's going on at the mall, and what about that empty storefront over there at Water Tower Plaza? So I said that this morning. I said, I could speak for hours, and somebody will say, hey, what's going on at Water Tower Plaza? We don't know either. And the reality is it's supposed to be this large company that I'm not supposed to say because of, but they pulled a permit, the builder pulled a permit, not the company, and they're building these things all over the place. And they just build a shell, and I guess when they're ready to open, they'll open, and maybe they'll open them all at once, but they're continuing to work there. We'll see what happens. The second one is the mall. I think that's the one people ask me about. Other than that, just like the Leominster, we have 5 retail centers, and they're 98% full right now, 98% full. That's the first time in a long time, and that's a good thing. And again, the sustainability part is, as the money starts to dry up, we start spending less. How do we keep people going, right? How do we keep those businesses alive? So at the mall, they have an interesting thing. They bought the mall, and within weeks, Macy's left. Macy's actually came in with a redevelopment plan and looked for permits to start renovating Macy's, when all of a sudden, they just said, we're leaving. Well, wait a minute, you just started to pull permits. And anyway, company decision. But the Sears still, the people that own Sears, the private equity people, still own the lease on Sears. So now it's either going to be the owners of the mall who buy out the lease, or it's going to be Sears holders that are going to hang in there waiting for them to buy them out until the lease runs out. And the other fly in the ointment here is that they have the Sears leaseholders actually have in their lease that they can sublease, which makes things a little complicated. So I can just tell you that people that own the mall are mall developers. They don't do housing. This is what they do. They are 100% liquid. They're out of Georgia. They just did a huge project out in Wisconsin. And they are going to invest, and they're going to invest big when it comes. And they have tenants lined up. It's just this whole stalemate here between Sears and them. So that's the answer to the 2 most important questions that everybody wants answers to, right? I mean, I can speak for days, but all in all, we're good. We paid our pension system off. We're healthy financially. We're on the conservative side of how we spend our money. We're very cautious because we know the economy works in cycles. I don't want to be pessimistic, but, you know, my grandfather used to have me water all the tomato plants with water barrels, where we collected all the water and then went and filled them up. So I'm on that side of things. But I guess one of the questions is going to be the police station, so I won't talk to that. No? Is one of the questions about, so I won't talk to that. So I hope I answered all the questions you can't ask me later. And look at us, how good we look up there. I don't know, I'm looking, I'm like, who the heck are these people, right? All right, did I use, no, all right, beautiful.
Can we please have our mayors join us up at the table?
Oh, we have Mount Wachusett. They're not Mount Wachusett. You do have. Well, good stuff.
Who wants my job today? So we have really been blessed here in North Central with three passionate, amazing mayors. They're leading our region. I'm a resident of Leominster, and it's just an amazing opportunity to see how the city that I was born and raised in and our communities surrounding the city is really just being amazing. So thank you, the three of you, for all your hard work, for all of your cities and for our communities. I'm sure I speak on everyone's behalf that we all appreciate it. So I want to start with you, Mayor DiNatale. What is one big win you feel your city has had in the past year? And I know you spoke a little bit about a lot of the economic development projects, but if you could pick one, what would you say is your biggest win?
You know, I mentioned it earlier, the Harper Furniture Building. I mean, that's what we refer to it as, is that's what it used to be. But that is a pretty significant achievement. John Rudzinski and Rees Larkin was the company that spearheaded that effort. And I try to tell people all the good things that happen, and I'm not a patient guy, but the good things that happen in Fitchburg, or any city actually, it takes time. That project, the Harper Furniture Morin Square project is actually what it is. That took 5 to 6 years before it came to where it is today, fully occupied and just dressing up that entire area. What we're working on, Liz Murphy, my community development person, what we're working on is reconfiguring that entire square. So that's the next step in Morin Square, is to take, I've said this before when I meet with groups. If you know the Spanish-American War statue, when you're coming down Lunenburg Street, you're looking at the guy's butt. So what we want to do is move that. Architects have said you want to move that to one of the sidewalks where everyone coming into that square is looking at the person's face, not their rear end. So interesting. That's right. Yeah.
Interesting.
So that's kind of that. We want to move that. We want to also reconfigure the traffic pattern and make that a little bit more user friendly. So that's a pretty significant accomplishment, certainly as far as I'm concerned.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Mayor Nicholson?
I think for us in Gardner, the biggest one we've had so far is just the redevelopment that we're seeing in the downtown. And that's something that, like Steve just said, has been something that's taken a while, and it's just taken time. When I first took office and Trevor and I were talking, we started talking about the infrastructure investments we were doing there and how that could lead to something later on, and now we're seeing what the something is. With the buildings getting redone, the 22 buildings being purchased, the facades that are being redone, the white siding on some of the buildings is starting to go away, which it's amazing that something that small makes that much of a difference when you drive through the downtown, where you just don't see the dirt as much on a white siding than you do on something that's got, even if it's fake brick on the front. I think a lot of stuff that we've seen in the downtown is probably the biggest accomplishment we had of those 17 businesses this year and 33 last year. I think 12 of those are in the downtown alone, and then the housing growth that we've said in the downtown alone. I think that's our biggest accomplishment we've had so far, and I got to thank my team for all of that too. That's not something that any one particular person does, but it's something that when you work together on a team like that, you get done. Speaking of my team, because Jessica did text me while I was up at the podium and I didn't look at my phone, I was asked to just remind you all that if you're looking for a reason to come back to Gardner, on Sunday, September 17th at 1 p.m., we have our city 100th anniversary parade through the downtown. So if you're looking for a fun thing to do out on a weekend, next weekend, see you there. Thanks.
Excellent. Thank you.
Nikki, we were looking for you before because we wanted to tell you how beautiful this center is here and what a beautiful job you do. So,
Thank you for the
thank you. Yeah, Mayor DiNatale, thank you for the air conditioning.
So Dean, one project.
People are going to go back to work today and like, how was the chamber breakfast? They talked about wine and apple pie, plunges, and guys' butts. Yeah, it was a good meeting. We'll have 4 people here next time. No, honestly, I mean, I don't know if it's one project because I think there are a ton of projects, right? We talk about that. Honestly, I think one of the biggest things that's starting to galvanize for us at least is that sense of community where people feel welcome. We have so many different ethnic descent. oh, I should have shut off. So many different churches and people with ethnic descents, and just new people coming to town. And I think creating that community is really a big deal. That is like a big deal for us. Because once you have that, then everything sort of gets a little easier. And I mean, obviously the police station was a big deal this year. That's a project we've worked on for a long, long time. And then the rail trail. I mean, I think for all of us, the rail trail was a big deal. That started over 20-something years ago. And thanks to Congressman Olver, who was able to get us the funding in appropriations, actually got to keep the money when they went away. And then, Jim Adams is here with the recovery center that we have down on Carter Street. They have helped a lot of people. And there are a lot of people struggling with drug and alcohol addiction, and they have helped a lot of people. We've used some of our ARBA funding and some other funding to help them out, but they've done a remarkable job. And as much as we talk about bricks and mortar, this job, honestly, is a lot. This job is. I got shut up. Time out. I want to speak to the manager. Of course, they ran out of batteries when I was there. I pushed the button too many times.
I thought I was a tech genius.
I'm a plug-and-play guy. I make no. And yeah. So I mean, that's for us, that's a big deal.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So the next question we have here is for Mayor DiNatale. So earlier this week, Congressman Trahan stopped by Fitchburg to announce more than $11 million in ARPA funds. Can you briefly tell us about that project and what the funds will be used for? Can you pass the microphone, please? Thank you.
We have an abundance of water in the city of Fitchburg with the amount of reservoirs that we have. But, our delivery systems for water are aging or aged. And we couldn't be happier with Congresswoman Trahan's efforts through the funding. 11 million is not a small amount of money. And we're thrilled by her, her focusing on the city of Fitchburg. So Boulder Drive and Main Street will be replacing a lot of those water mains. And that will make economic development even more prevalent in that area, because we'll check that box off for some of these developers. And not the least of which, the cost of doing this will not be placed as a burden on the ratepayers, and that's huge as well. So we're happy with. Certainly, she's been an outstanding partner in the city, and we couldn't be more thankful to her.
Thank you. And then Mayor Nicholson, we've seen a number of properties change hands in the last few years, along with the downtown infrastructure projects that you've talked about here. Can you tell us about the combination of how that works with public and private investment?
I think that's one of the reasons why we've seen the success that we've had, is when you work together with government, not just public and private, but also government with local, state, and federal all working together in one cohesive unit. That's when you get a lot of the work done. With the private sector partners that we have, I remember I sat down with John Bombachi from Candor, who now owns half of the downtown, back last March. And he was talking to me about a completely different property over on Nadeau Street that he wanted to put condos up on and tear the building that was there down on. And I was like, oh, that's great that you're doing that, but do you know a guy named Dean Marcus? And we talked a lot about the downtown and a lot of the work that we have been trying to do with revitalizing that one, and then they bought those buildings. And it's something that they hadn't thought about before, but they saw the opportunity there because we just sat down and had that conversation. And then we saw Molina Realty come in and the Door Fund Enterprise come in, and then Empire Management bought the building that they're in and are looking at potential growth there. And it's one of those that when you just sit down and have the conversation and show what the big picture is, you can get a lot more done. Because yes, the city started the work when the city bought some of the buildings downtown to try to get them, out of the deteriorating position that they're in, and work with Mass Ave Rentals to convert that building from blight into promise. Someone else picked up that torch and ran with it too, and it's an actual full partnership. And working with Woods Ambulance on the Swift ride that we talked about earlier, that's another one where when you sit down with someone in the private sector about a need that you can't fulfill on the public side, it's just sharing that idea to see if someone in the private sector picks that up and runs with it on their own. And then you build that symbiotic relationship that you have. And I think it's something that works best. Thanks.
Thank you very much. And then Mayor Mazzarelli, you have been very critical of the state closing the labor and delivery ward at the hospital, and you've now involved some lawyers in that. Is there anything else the city can do at this point? And then I want to follow up with also Mayor Nicholson and Mayor DiNatale on this as well.
Sure. I don't know if you noticed, but I'm in opposition to them closing the maternity ward. Yeah, that's been our summer. But listen, I said at the public hearing, all good people, people from Health Alliance are nice people. They are. I just think this time, the heart and soul is the hospital, right? I mean, people move to a community and they want to know about their schools and they want to know about their churches and they want to know about, their hospital. And I think of the population of this area. And I think to myself, how could we be without it? And I think we differ 100% on this. And I do believe there are plenty of babies being born here. I think everyone sees that. And I do believe that we've lost market share to other hospitals, but I think that could be recaptured. And listen, we're going to do, I respect everybody from Health Alliance at UMass, but we're going to do whatever it takes to stop them from closing the maternity ward, whatever it takes. There's always the next step, next step, next step. So.
And Mayor Nicholson, how will that, if this hospital does close the maternity ward, how will that affect your community? And how are you preparing right now for that?
I mean, we have Haywood Hospital here with the birthing center that we have here. And like Dean said, we respect everyone who's at Health Alliance and understand that just everyone across the healthcare industry is struggling here. But with the amount of growth that we're seeing in our region and the amount of people who are moving from out east here, I think we shouldn't be looking at stifling services, but looking in the long term to see the demand that we're expecting to have in the next 5 to 10 years rather than looking at right now. I think with Gardner, Fitchburg, and Leominster growing, and then everywhere in between. I bleed orange and black, but I was born as a Leominster baby at Health Alliance. And it's something that if my mother didn't have that service, she'd end up at Haywood. But if someone else in the area was like, I'm in this situation where I'm about to give birth and have one of the biggest medical things happen, I don't want to have to worry about, am I going to get stuck in traffic on Route 2 because they decided to pave today? It's one of those things that in that immediate need, we should be looking for more comfort than concern. And if you can make a situation less stressful, that's what you should be looking at doing. And it's just caring for your neighbors that are there. Gardner will pick up any way we need to, but that doesn't mean we're looking forward to it. It's something that will provide the region what we need to do with work to help people there, but we should be planning ahead for what we need rather than stifling what we have now. And I gotta just give a shout out to Senator Cronin because I know he's been doing a lot of work on this as well. But we'll do what we have to do with whatever situation we end up with in the end.
And then Mayor DiNatale, if you'd like to comment.
Yes, Mayor Mazzarella mentioned it, he kind of touched on the fact that this is really, really hard to take if you're part of the community in the North County, not just Fitchburg or Leominster, obviously. But, and we understand the administration at Health Alliance is doing their best. They legitimately believe they have good reason to close that facility. But the outcry from the public itself, if that's any indication, we need to pay attention to that. And we're hoping that we can come to an agreement and some kind of approach that's going to benefit all of us, the hospital as well as certainly the public.
Thank you. And the next question here is for Mayor Nicholson. Recently, a new elementary school was built in Gardner. The Elm Street School building is being repurposed, and one of the new tenants is recently expanded services of the Boys and Girls Club. Can you tell us how the city is working to repurpose any additional empty buildings?
This is something we're actually working really hard on doing. Waterford Street School, I'm really excited about this project. I see some smiling faces over there too from people who are involved in it. We're going to turn that school building into our new community center. And we've got a little bit to get through to get to that point, but looking with Gamma for their adult daycare, their adult day program, moving that out of the Coleman location so that they can expand their Coleman manufacturing operations in that building and move the other services and grow the services because they've got a wait list longer than most of my city council packets that I have to read through every other week. Growing places, moving a distribution center and processing center to the kitchen over there, the Gardner Senior Center moving, so that we don't have to have a 3-floor building for our senior center and deal with all the falls that we deal with over there, and then the Gardner CAC moving their food pantry services into that building. Bringing all of those services together under one roof with a common auditorium area, a common gymnasium area, I think is just something that's going to benefit the city in the long run and really be able to grow the services that we have to offer here in Gardner. That leaves us with an open building at the old senior center. We're looking at potential options for that building right now, working with the Gardner Area League of Artists on potential partnership over at the Helen May Sauter School building behind the big chair to see if we can potentially look at some artists' studio space. One of the things they talked about was that there's very little recording studios in the area unless you're at Mount Wachusett Community College, but the demand there is so high they've got a wait list, so seeing if we can bring some of that as a new arts facility for the cities, but that's still very early on. We were looking at some work done at the old School Street School location. However, there's some safety concerns with that building, so we have to weigh whether the building is savable or not. The Greenwood Pool location, like we talked about, that's going to be a brand new pavilion over there. It's one of those things that I remember in my first inaugural, I said we need to work to make Blight promise, and that's something that we're going to just try to continue doing any way we can.
Thank you so much. And Mayor Mazzarella, you touched on it earlier, but Leominster just recently opened their doors for residents to see the ongoing work at the new police station. So can you speak about the significance of that project and any insight into what's going to be done to the old building where the police station is?
So we worked on this for a long time, and our biggest thing was we really wanted to try to stay in the downtown area. We didn't want, when we have plenty of places to go, we wanted to keep it part of the downtown. And obviously what we've done over the years is that we really want to make this part of the community, and we want people, we want to be proactive and not reactive. We're not just going to 911 calls, we're trying to solve the problems. And mental health is huge for us. We have clinicians that are full-time. We have civilian employee that works on domestic violence, another works on homelessness, drug addiction, all of that. And it's actually empowered the rest of the uniformed police department, the rest of the officers that are uniformed, to work together because they're so reactive, right? When I was a police officer, everything was 911, go to another call, write a report, go to another call. You didn't have time to be proactive. This building, it allows us to be proactive. I mean, it's built, it's about 30,000 square feet. It's a $30 million project, came in on time, on budget, a few weeks late, but it came in about $1 million under budget, which was good. But it's built for another 50 years. The old station, I guess, the one built in 1957, we're not sure yet what we're gonna do. We're gonna take a look at it. Almost all of our municipal buildings are full. And right now, that's kind of second to, we're going to be building something, either a new school at Fallbrook or a renovation. And that's kind of where the emphasis is. But some people looked at it for a restaurant, but haven't walked through the building yet. Everybody's fascinated by jail cells. First thing people wanted to see is two things at the opening. They wanted to know about one of our officers' haircuts. The second thing they wanted to know about is body cams. People are, I could do a whole lecture on body cams. People are so infatuated with this. They're so interested in this stuff. And then they want to see the cells. And by the way, there are male, female, there are handicap cells. These are all new requirements, set forth by the state and federal government. And so anyway, if you want to spend the night at the old jail, $50, some apple pie and wine, I'll let you in.
Thank you very much. So we have about 5 minutes left. So I'm going to say for each of you, for 1 minute, what is the biggest opportunity you see for your city and the region over the next 5 years? And we can start with Mayor Nicholson, or, okay, fine, and then we'll go to Mayor DiNatale, and we'll close with Mayor Mazzarella. Of course. What is the biggest opportunity you see for your city and the region over the next 5 years?
I think it's the demographic change and the growth that we're seeing. We're seeing a big bump in the number of people who are realizing that you can get a house with an acre of land in North Central for what you can buy a cinder block for in Boston. And it's changing people's attitudes towards the region and the way that they look at the region, and just like I said, the overall demographic that's here. When I was greeting the kids at their first day of kindergarten, one of the teachers came up to me and said, "Look, this is the coolest," and handed me a survey. And there's 7 different languages spoken by the students in that classroom. Wow. And it's something that it's just neat to see how it's going to impact the city in the long run with the new, larger population that we have.
Thank you. Mayor Di Natale?
Thank you. I wanted to mention something. I want to talk about Mike and how great, when I go through Gardner every now and then, the city looks great. Congratulations
Yes.
on,
Thank you.
on what you've
That's
done.
awesome.
What I see is I think, the dual traffic that we've got, that advancement with Main Street. I don't know if you've had an opportunity to drive on Main Street, but the reconfiguration of that has been I think, a huge success. And people are shaking their heads. Good, I'm glad you believe that. There's been about $111 million of investment on Main Street. Now, we have got 1 mile of Main Street from the Harper Building, Moran Square, up to the Boulder. And I think what you've seen is we've chipped away at it with new City Hall. Now, it's not so much new anymore, it's 3 years old. And some of the restaurant businesses across the street. The one missing piece, and we're working diligently, and AJ Tarigny's here representing the university. We're hoping that we can continue to move forward and make that a reality. That's the missing link right now. We can get that theater block up and running with a parking deck and a black box. It'll fulfill what we're trying to do on Main Street. And we're going to continue to chip away at that. I want to have what Dean has in Leominster, occupancy rates that are full. And that's what we're working on, and the team that works with me. So that's really, and we're not just focused on Main Street. But that's one of the keys. That's one of the keys. A new library. We've got the new school, Crocker School, was up there this week looking at the construction going on there. A lot of things happening in the city of Fitchburg, and if I'm not sounding so excited about it, I am excited, and we couldn't be happier about. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And then Mayor Mazzarella, in the last 2 or so minutes we have here today.
That's perfect. I think one of the biggest opportunities I think we saw coming out of COVID and everything is that we really try to keep kids busy and do positive things in the community. And a couple years ago, we started with vacations, and everybody, Boys and Girls Club, churches, recreation department, the library, the city, we put on a whole calendar of events for those weeks and to capacity in every aspect. This summer, we opened it up everywhere, to all the schools, everywhere, curriculum. We kept kids busy, trails, even my conservation agent, we call it Nick Walks. He takes kids on nature walks. It's been the greatest thing ever. Is you got to keep these kids busy, and you got to expose them to things. They have more the graduating classes this year, last year, have more opportunities than anyone in the history of this country. But you got to expose kids to more and more things. You got to show them. You got to show them life science. You got to show them things. You got to get them into community colleges. Got to get them into where you work, banks, whatever it is that you do. Money isn't always the greatest driver of happiness. Sometimes people find a job they like to do and they love it. They have passion. They get excited about it. They can't sleep at night. They're writing little notes on their phone, right? On and on and on. But we're competing against TikTok and the rest of the world and the chip challenge and all this stuff. And so that's the opportunity that we have is for us as communities and business owners and people in, that work in areas that people might find fascinating, is to keep these things up, because we always think that kids really don't like adult-led programs, but the ones that are at capacity, adult-led programs that are organized, they like that. They like the structure. They like that part of it all. Mm-hmm. And the other thing is to keep people moving. I mean, people are complaining because our detours ran into detours this year, but they're going to come to an end. Mm-hmm. So we fixed 13. I haven't got one complaint, although the process is painful. Route 12 in front of Water Tower Plaza, that's $10 million that we got. And then we're going to start on the other side of Route 12, which goes to Sterling. The other opportunity is, I was appointed by the governor before he left. I've got, I don't know how many years left for my tenure at MassDOT, and the opportunity is, I'm here for the region, and I've been able to help some communities with funding and help them to get projects done. But my position on, on the board of directors for the MassDOT has really been an opportunity for everybody, because I've gotten calls from all over Western Massachusetts, and it's really been good, and we've benefited from it, from the area. But the opportunity is, I think, that in closing is, I think now, Roy's been here for a while now. We've got that, finally got that energy that's creating this north central Massachusetts. Before we all had a little silo because we had to pay attention to it. We were afraid to give up a little bit because, well, you might lose a little market share, whatever. But the reality now is we're starting to close in on this. Think about it. When somebody's coming to visit you, you're going to take them to Mount, you're going to choose it. You're going to take them to the Fitchburg Art Museum. You're going to take them to, it isn't just, stay in Leominster for a week. I can, haul you around to every restaurant and take you to Shoreland Farms. It's not the case anymore, and that's what we've got to think about is when people are coming out, where are we going to take them? Where are those important places? So it's starting to gel, it's starting to come together, and it's incredible opportunities for all of us.
Thank you so much. Well, Mayor DiNatale, Mayor Nicholson, Mayor Mazzarella, thank you so much for being here today, for sharing all this wonderful insight. We, I'm sure, are so excited of what's to come and what's currently going on in these, so thank you. We look forward to seeing you at the next breakfast on November 10th, and that is today's meeting for you. So, we're doing a drawing? No? Okay. So have a great day, North Central, and stay cool out there.